G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today, we're on Normandy, and the map is going to be probably our pivotal point of discussion today. We're flying out the SM-91, and we're in a night battle. Now, if you know me, I can't stand night battles, and about a year ago, of course, many of you will know the Orange Doom, he released a video on night battles and post-effects settings, where you could tweak the post-effects settings just a little bit and change it so that you could see dots coming from a long way away and you could prepare to engage an enemy. So for example, if you saw 4 dots heading towards you, you could climb for altitude or face them even or anything in order to perhaps attempt at least to get the best out of your situation. Now, since then, it has been nerfed, I guess you can say, and post-effects settings are pretty much utterly useless in changing the effect of a night round. Now, in the SM-91, I am in a little bit of a good spot because I can pretty much turn fight with almost whatever I want and sort of come out on top. At least, if I have a good team to back me up, I can pretty much turn fight with anything. That doesn't mean that in a 1v1 or a 1vx situation, the SM-91 can hold its own. This thing is a bit more of a boom and zoomer heavy fighter style. You can indeed turn with stuff like Yaks, but you have to be extremely careful, and I would not recommend it. If you can, stuff like Yaks, boom and zoom, stuff like P61s perhaps, you can turn fight. P38s, you can turn fight. Big fat heavy things, you can turn fight. You could probably even gamble your luck against a P51 and come out on top. Spitfires, I wouldn't bother. But again, we're not here to talk about the SM-91 really, we're here to talk about night battles. Now, as you can see, I'm off climbing and I'm looking for dots. I'm looking for little dots on the horizon, anywhere, everywhere, up in the sky, low, anywhere, just a dot. So I can get a kill, I guess, so I can start engaging enemies. But also what I'm looking for is stuff around my bombers, and the bombers, because they're a big target and they're flying higher, tend to be easier to spot against the night sky, especially with the moon in the giving some light, I suppose. Other things to look out for are tracer bullets, and for me, I'm not loading any tracer bullets. I'm going with stealth rounds, except for the turret, which can't equip them, much to my dissatisfaction. But that doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, night battles are really all about how good your crew level is, and how much luck you get, and what plane you're in. Now, obviously, parts of that tie into regular daytime battles, such as real crew level, and what plane you're in. For example, if you're in an 8.0 jet in a 9.0 matchup, you are going to suffer naturally. But here I am in a almost top tier plane, or as in fully down tiered, and I have no market advantage against the enemies because it's basically whoever finds who first. And there you can see I've been spotted by an XP38. Now I actually put my landing flaps down, I go for a turn above him because I know I've got a bit more energy. I go for that stall, try to switch to the secondary gunner to meme him a little bit, but that doesn't really work. And you can see I'm using those keyboard controls to try and roll the plane over and try and get a reversal on him. And you can see right there, getting onto guns on target, and can I do it? Can I do it? Not quite. But 6 MG151s. Always a second chance with this plane. Now, that XP38 saw me first, he came from below, and because he missed his first few shots, he was not able to kill me, and in fact he ended up dead. Now, was that a misplay on his part? Partially, because he turned with me. But if he was able to get those hits into me and say damage my pilot or something like that, he would have actually killed me right there. Right there and then. And that would have been the end of my match. Instead, I go on to Ruffle Stomp. And I don't think that this is a reasonable way of running a game, in all honesty. I don't think luck should play into anything in any game. That changes the outcome so drastically as a night battle. I don't think night battles should be as common, and I don't think they should definitely not be at higher tiers in planes. In tanks, I'm not entirely sure. I don't think it's that bad in tanks, especially if there's decent enough moonlighting. But this XP55, for example, doesn't actually see me coming until I'm well behind him. And I managed to get plenty of shots on target, and he's gone. P51 comes in, he doesn't even see me either, because he can't spot me. I would have been spotted in a day match, and he would have seen me, and he would definitely have not turned behind like that. Just so easy. It's so annoying that planes that rely on going fast and not turning tend to lose out in night battles. The game is already difficult enough for them as it is, because boom and zoom planes need to be a bit more patient, they need to climb more, they need to be less aggressive, and in a situation where it can go from 0 to 100 extremely quickly, this is more than unoptimal for a plane that relies on boom and zoom tactics. This is why I personally don't like night battles, and perhaps would like to see them, I guess, removed from battle ratings where there are no, for example, night fighters, or where there are no fighters for perhaps radar, or alternatively, they could add a radar system that would help spot planes. And if you take it out with, say, a bombing target, you're left in the dark like this, which, that would be all right, because at least we have something to combat and something to protect. And in night battles, perhaps the radar station could be a lot more of a viable target. And it could also be a target that is worth defending. Instead of, letting the bombers go and take the bases for no apparent reason, because they can, maybe we could have, for example, a radar station, and this radar station could give you the same spotting as daytime, the exact same spotting, until it is destroyed, and then you're left with this. I would be all for that, honestly. I think that would be such a better way of doing things, because it eliminates the luck factor, and it also adds an extra game mechanic, which is something that the War Thunder community has been looking for in RRB for a long time. I think that might actually, spice things up a little bit. Look at this F5, F6F. Look at him. He flew right past me. There's nothing. He couldn't spot me. He's probably a level 20 something with a level 3 crew. Here I am with my level 75 crew, experted on the SM91, and I can spot this guy without an issue. Take him out, and he will not have seen me. How is a new player expected to enjoy the game when there is this in play? I think it's ridiculous. I honestly think it is genuinely ridiculous. It only benefits planes that raw turn fight, which is Merlin Spitfires, Zeros, G55 maybe, not even energy fighters, and the heavy fighters and the boom and zoom fighters get left out because they need someone to spot for them, and they need someone to be in constant peril to, I guess, bait or spot the enemies. Now, perhaps if we had night fighters and radar operable in the game, that wouldn't be such a bad thing. Maybe perhaps night fighters could get extra vision and say for 5 kilometers around them they could spot everything, no matter what, whether it was in clouds, whether it was at night, it doesn't really matter. Give it an X amount of radius, perhaps 10 kilometers, who cares? Let's say it's 10 kilometers. Then we can have a lot more viability for planes like the Dornier 217, the night fighter versions, and we could have a lot more viability for planes that would otherwise just go to the wayside, like the P61. I think the P61, it's a decent plane. I have been flying it out quite extensively, and it's been enjoyable. But there is no real room for it in the game, in the meta. And having an addition of radar, for example, could be something that could be looked into. And perhaps we could see this in the game, and it could be something that's kind of nice, kind of new, shiny, kind of fun. I think we could really get something out of it. And it's a real shame, honestly, that there's no radar implemented in the game apart from the one that we have in-game already on the top right-hand corner of your screen. But that's basically simulated off, I guess, line of sight. instead of actual radar signatures. And having, for example, a Heinkel 219 that has radar, and I think that could be really, really interesting as a fighter in the game. It could add to the meta. It could change things around. If you get a night match, maybe it would be extremely viable. Or perhaps if you take out the P61, you have an increased chance of getting a night match. That might be interesting. We could add certain things to the game, and it could be really, really cool. I just wish that for now, as a temporary solution until perhaps a content patch comes in, that night battles were turned down a lot more or off, because right now it's just luck. It is literally just a luck factor. Whoever gets who first and whoever happens to spot who first, whoever has the best crew, whoever has the best turning plane, and there's no real pilot skill involved. It's literally just find someone who's turn fighting or already spotted or something like that, and go and have your one kill and get jumped by some zero or a fighter like that. It's not really enjoyable. And for me personally, who's played several thousand matches of ARB, I don't see the fun in it either. It's kind of cool, it looks cool, you can see the traces flying through the air, but that's really about it. The functionalities of the map itself in night mode are really, really painful to play. Now, as in tanks, for example, it might not. It might be quite interesting for close air support planes, where they actually are able to spot tracers from MGs on tanks. Or it's easier to spot that Shilka who's sort of sitting at the back of the map and camping. Alternatively, you might, for example, find it interesting to see maybe helicopters could have a little niche in night maps. Maybe they could have a radar too. The list and the possibilities are endless for War Thunder. But what needs to happen, at least temporarily, is just a temporary, I guess, reduction in night maps. Or at least a way that around it, like as in the next few days, in the next few weeks, rather than in March or April when the next patch comes out. I think right now, where it sits, night matches are a little bit too common. I played, for example, one particular day, I played, I think I was in Jets, and I got something like 3 or 4 night matches in a row. And having night matches in Jets is extremely frustrating, especially with rank 6 and especially with air-to-air missiles, where if they're not spotted, you don't actually get a missile warning. So, apart from looking around to see where the enemies might be, you're also looking for missiles heading towards you at Mach 2. And whilst that's a little bit of added realism, it's not entirely fun and it's not exactly viable for gameplay. At lower tiers, it's not so bad. You've got more new players, you've got a lot of, I guess, well-turning planes, and you've got decent, fleshed out battle ratings where you've got plenty of different planes to find. But for the most part, at ranks like Jets, it's an absolute hindrance to the matchmaker, and it's terrible. It is absolutely ridiculous to play Clouds in Jets. So, for now, perhaps reduce it, and perhaps in the future, maybe the next patch or something like that, maybe we can get radar stations. I think that'd be really, really cool. Anyway, ladies and gents, take care, and I'll catch you next time. If you watched to the end of the video, comment SM91 is Bay. See you guys.